It's about the last thing you'd expect to see on Facebook. Photos of two Bengal tigers living in your neighbor's yard.
Originally, the department was notified from some people that had seen these tigers on social media, and they gave us a heads up, and we followed it up, and sure enough, this gentleman had two Bengal tigers. They were young, but they were already in the neighborhood of 400 pounds. So even though they're babies, they still had some good size on them. And of course, all carnivores are prohibited to possess here in Arizona. So the officers started an investigation. They followed up, and they found these tigers, a white one and a normally colored one, at two different residences located in the Phoenix metropolitan area.
Well, we work with Arizona Game and Fish, and they called us late one day and said, "Can you take a tiger in? We're about to confiscate one." And I said, "Sure, why not?" We have a very high security area that we can do that in, both keeping the animals safe and the public safe, and when they're evidence, keeping that safe. So I said yes, and so they brought the first tiger in, and then we got a call a couple of days ago saying that there was a second tiger and could they bring that. So of course we said yes, and luckily the tigers knew each other, so we were able to get both cubs together, so that really relieved a lot of their anxiety, and so now they're playing and eating well.
Trying to raise an exotic animal such as a tiger as a domestic pet is not only dangerous, but it's illegal in most states, including Arizona. It's also cruel and inhumane to the animal.
People do all kinds of horrible things trying to keep them, removing claws, removing canines, and they've got very special diets. A big tiger's eating pounds and pounds and pounds of meat a day, and they need bone and viscera. You can't just feed them hamburgers. So they're very specialized creatures, and your average person that lives in a neighborhood isn't in a position to meet the dietary needs of a large carnivorous animal like that, much less the housing needs.
Situation I know of is they were tied up in a backyard with a horse lead rope, and how they didn't get loose is just amazing to me, and how some child wasn't attracted to want to see a tiger is just really a miracle that nobody was hurt during all this time. Those were the crates that they were kept in. Yes, which was very inhumane. They could hardly even turn around in those crates, and they were chewing their way out of the crates. So it's just a time bomb about to explode.
Since the tiger's owner was nowhere to be found, Game and Fish turned them over to the Out of Africa Wildlife Park, where they would have a much larger space to live in, the specialized care they need, and brand new names.
We got a call from Game and Fish, and they said they had two tiger cubs that were in someone's backyard. And it was very mysterious. Not much was known about the cubs or how they came to be in a backyard or who the owner was. But they needed a home, and we are kind of in the business of taking in rescues. That's why we don't breed any of our predators here, so we can take in as many rescues as possible, like Journey and Gabriel here. It's always very sad when rescues like this need to occur, especially for the animals being bounced around, but these two are just very, very lucky that they got to come to our facility. So in store for these guys, we've got other tigers for them to play with and mentor them, teach them how to be a tiger, teach them how to behave. Because tigers need to learn quite a few things. They're born not knowing, like for instance, like how to hunt, and we hope that they don't. he saw a bird. We hope that they never want to hunt us, but we're going to teach them just how to play and have a lot of fun.
Not every wild animal raised in captivity is as lucky as Journey and Gabriel. When there's no zoo or sanctuary space available, the animals are often euthanized or forced to live out their lives in cramped, inadequate cages. Even more disturbing, it's believed that more exotic animals live in American homes than are currently cared for in American zoos.
You can buy them off the internet, out of catalogs, and it's just a really bad idea. They don't belong as pets. They grow quickly. You've got a small cub who in just a period of months is big enough to eat you, eating you literally out of house and home, 40 pounds of meat a day. It's just a bad, very dangerous idea.
Almost every animal at Southwest Wildlife Sanctuary in Scottsdale is here because of someone's failed experiment at domestication. Still, the exotic pet trade continues to flourish, and while several bills have been proposed to outlaw private ownership of these animals on a federal level, lawmakers have been unable to pass any of the legislation.
People forget that even though these things may have been bred in captivity, they're still wild animals, and they still do things that wild animals do, and because of that, they're unpredictable. Heaven's sakes, just think of all the dog attacks we get in the Phoenix metropolitan area each year, and these are animals that have been partners with human beings for eons. And so here's probably one of the most domesticated animals on the planet, and they still kill people and attack people. And now you've got an animal that's very shortly removed from its wild heritage, and you're put it in a situation where it could possibly harm somebody. It's a very volatile and very dangerous situation.
Finding Bengal tigers in someone's backyard is a rarity in Arizona, and the exotic pet trade isn't the only way people end up with exotic pets. All too often, someone simply picks up a young animal they find in the wild and take it home. This baby bighorn sheep had been living with a woman in Siloam before it was confiscated by a game and fish officer. The same is true for this elk calf that was found living in a yard near Safford. Both animals were taken to the Adobe Wildlife Center, where they were cared for until they could be placed in appropriate facilities. Unfortunately, because they were kept as pets, even for a short time, they cannot be released back into the wild.
Actually, something that happens, too frequently is people actually think, oh no, it's abandoned, it's just going to die, and so they want to do the right thing and they pick it up, when actually that's probably the worst thing that they could actually do for it, because, that's just a typical behavior. The mother will actually bed them down, and then they'll go off the feed, or, and then come back for it later, and somehow they know exactly where they left it, and they'll actually come right back to it. But in this case, I'm sure when the mother came back, it was gone. So rather than an animal that was living in the wild, where we would typically expect to find elk, this one will be, placed in a facility somewhere, because, it's been around humans, and it's, probably not a candidate to go back to the wild.
Oftentimes the department's put in a position where we have to save people from themselves. And so, we all make bad decisions every now and then, but probably one of the worst decisions people can make is to have a large, potentially dangerous animal in a neighborhood or a setting where it could possibly hurt someone.
Wild animals are beautiful and alluring creatures, and our desire to commune with them is natural. But for everyone's sake, they are best observed from a safe distance. By leaving wild animals in the wild, we can appreciate them for what they truly are and not what we want them to be.